Hi, my name's Stephen Simpson and I'm the manager of the Fort Vermilion Heritage Centre. I'm standing here in front of the Fort Vermilion Heritage Centre Escape House. And this year it was a great hit. Come on inside, I'll show you some fun things about it. Now the point of the escape house is to escape by solving a number of puzzles, riddles, and different games. And in this room we have 3 different ones that you need to solve before you can move into the next room. So taking a quick look at our paper here, this is your introductory story. And when you look at this paper, you'll see that there's different bolded letters. And when you take these bolded letters and put them in order, it spells out, "Be another's eyes to gaze upon the prize." A bit of a riddle. Now you might think, how do I apply that to this room? Well, you'll notice that there's a picture over here that has eyes on it. And you also notice there's a bear here that has eyes on it. And for this puzzle, the sneaky bit, what you need to do is come stand in front of this bear, take a look at the room from left to right, and you'll notice that there's different letters posted throughout the room, starting with a C here on the window frame, there's a U over there by the door, S up there on top of the wall, and then down here there's a H on the ironing board, an I on the TV stand, an O, and an N. And that all together spells cushion. So now you'll see that there's a bunch of cushions on these couches. Now, one of them is not like the other, so if you take a look, all sewn together, all sewn together, all zipper, that's new. Open the zipper and ooh, a key is revealed. So now you've got a key. Now this key looks like it might open a number of different things, but most importantly, it opens this box over here. Taking a look inside this box, pop it open, and inside we have, look at all these different shapes. Oh, and the red piece of paper, that's another riddle. So what you need to do here is reading it says, colors and shapes galore, sides of 2, 6, 8, and more. Careful now, don't you roar. You won't need sides greater than 4. Special hint, see that the word sides is underlined twice? That means you gotta pay attention to the sides. So sorting our shapes into all the different numbers of sides that they have. Fun fact, a round object is not considered a one-sided shape, but for this experience, we did. So if we take those round objects and put them all together as one-sided shapes in a group, and there's some two-sided shapes that we have here, like this crescent moon and this dome, and then we have some three-sided triangles, and then we have some four-sided squares and rectangles and trapezoids, and then we have other ones that have more than 4 sides, but in our riddle it says you don't need sides greater than 4. So those ones we're just going to ignore. And now that we've got them into these little groupings, we can see that there's 3 one-sided shapes, 2 two-sided shapes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 three-sided shapes, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 four-sided shapes. So now our next code is 3, 2, 6, 6. And we'll also note that on here, there's little asterisks that if we flip onto the back, it says O is the first letter. So our code now is O3266. If we're coming over to this code, not enough spaces for that code. Must be another lock somewhere. And that is going to be upstairs. Coming up this steep flight of stairs from this Hudson's Bay Company 1905 version house, we find the right code for that lock, the right lock for that code, and come into this upper bedroom. Ooh, very interesting. On the beds right here, we have a bit of a storyline. It says, "Hooray, you made it into the room. Now time to get that letter from your secret hiding spot. You check to make sure no one is coming up the stairs. You deem it safe to dig out the letter. Faintly, you hear Mom yelling, but all you can understand is hang, laundry, careful, buttons. But you're too busy to listen. And besides, you can do that whenever it is. You can do whatever it is she's yelling about after you've back from the boat. You decide to focus on the task at hand and get that letter. Now, secretly, what Mom is yelling at you is what you need to pay attention to. So in this laundry basket, we have a number of different shirts. And pulling them out of the laundry basket, we can remember that Mom was yelling about shirts, hanging up laundry, and buttons. So, shirt number 1 right here, we can hang that one up. And we have shirt number 2, and we can hang this one up. And if we're paying attention to the buttons, this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 buttons on it. So that's a pretty high number of buttons for a shirt, and we'll stick that over here. This one here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons. That seems like a medium number of buttons for a shirt. And the one that we've already hung up has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons on it. Now looking at the size of these shirts, we have 40, we have 10, and we have 27. 40, 10, 27 must be a code for something. Taking a look at this fancy Nancy Fenwick box over here, if we pop that code into this lock of 40, 10, 27, 40 and 10 and 27, being sure to be very precise. There goes the lock. And we have all kinds of goodies in here now. Taking a look inside, we have a series of letters. And they seem to be in pretty poor shape, a little bit beaten up, a little bit ripped up, not all that together. There's one that has all the information on it, looks pretty nice and crisp and clean. And that means that we're not paying attention to the information, because piecing this together isn't giving us any new information, it's just repeating the information that's already in the letter. So what we want to do is put them in order and pay attention to something else about the letters. So putting them in order, we have these 3 pieces of paper all stacked together. And you can see that they are very special rips that fit together, just like this, and they're very unique to each paper. And so when we take those rips and separate them, we get a piece of paper that looks like this, a piece of paper that looks like this, and a piece of paper that looks like this. And if we look at the shape of it, from left to right, we get the code 313. And that seems like a very good code to get in the kitchen. Stuffing all those back in there, we can now go down and take a look at what is going to get us into the kitchen. Three, 1, 3 in the lock, and pop, there it goes. We're into the final room. Aha! Another interesting piece of paper with a bit of a story. At last you are in the kitchen, the last room before you can go down to the boat and get your letter on the way to Grandma. This whole situation and setup, not bolded, really has been inconvenient and frustrating. Then, not bolded, you notice Mom has locked the back door. She must have been baking and didn't want the kids at the oven. That's why it feels like 90 degrees, not bolded, in here. You frantically search the room for a hidden key, and just when you thought it was hopeless, you know some strange white lines. Maybe those will turn, not bolded, out to be helpful. And here are those strange white lines on our stove. Taking a look very closely, you can see there's a number 1 line on the corner here. And you'll notice that some are not quite sitting in place and others are sitting in place. Any of the ones that are not sitting in place mean they're in the wrong spot and they need to be swapped. A little corner swapperoo here. We'll make sure that they line up just perfect. And if you line up these little handles all to the bottom. Oh, I didn't swap that one. Now this one's blank and doesn't have anything on it. And all the other ones have white lines on it, so must be another one hiding somewhere that might be more useful. Ta-da! There it is. Taking this one, adding it to the stove. And all of our handles down lined up at the bottom. We start to see some shape happening to these lines. Line number 1, the setup line comes through and matches all the way through, all the way through, matches all the way through, matches all the way through, keeps going, keeps the trail going all the way through all of them. So now, what we need to do is we need to turn 90 degrees, because that's what it said in the paper, and those words weren't bolded. They were strange, unlike all the other words. So now turning all of them 90 degrees counterclockwise, we are going to start to see some of the other line number 2, line up, and by diggity dog, it's going to start to make letters in words. So now that they're all lined up perfectly like so, we're starting to look at line number 2, and here we have a B, R, and an E, A-T-H-E. That spells breathe. Give us an O and an N. That spells on. Give us a T and an H and an E. That spells the. And all the way over here, give us an M, an I, an R, an R, an O, an R. Mirror. Breathe on the mirror. Now upstairs there's a mirror, and when you breathe on the mirror, the condensation doesn't stick to certain parts and spells out the word broom. Tricky, tricky. There's 2 brooms in the house, one upstairs, one downstairs. Behind the door here's a sneaky one. Take a look at this broom. Inspect it closely. Don't mind the dog bite marks and other bite marks on it. And right here in the bristles at the bottom, ta-da! The final key that works perfectly in this back door right here. And you've escaped. That's the 2024 Escape House Puzzles. It was a lot of fun putting it together. I hope a lot of people had a lot of fun doing it. Congratulations to Haunted Forest Fairview for winning in 32 minutes. And we'll see you in the summer of 2025.